Morning, guys. It's another early morning for me. Uh, I definitely enjoy making these videos and having this accountability. It helps me get up a little bit earlier with a little bit more, maybe gumption, if that's the word that I'll choose to use. Today, I want to talk about love in a different capacity. Um, and this is to do with my own personal battle with selfishness and ambition. So, before I became a teacher, I was an accountant, and I had invested so much of myself in being an accountant. And the funny thing is, I remember the pursuit of that being strictly selfish reasons. Um, I had recently gotten out of the military and um, finished my a bachelor's degree of science in accounting, and so it made me chuckle when I realized that accounting didn't make me happy because if we go back far enough, it was about 2012, 2013. I started my family with my wife. We got married in '09, but our kids started to come along in 2012 and 2013. And my pursuit came solely on money and how I could better provide for my family. And just the ambition of that, the desire for more things, more money for them, I thought was a selfless act. But as I got further along in that journey, I realized that I just wanted that for peace for me. I didn't want it simply just to want it for them. And it's an interesting struggle how close you can get to riding the line of, oh, hey, am I doing this in service to others, or am I doing this to serve me? And that's kind of the battle that I want to talk about this morning in my pursuit to love others better. Um, I joined the military in 2014, that early summer, and I knew going in that I was joining the military to serve my family, and I still believe that 100%. I made that choice. But in serving my family, I wanted the benefits that the military provided, and I wanted to become an accountant. I had fallen in love with investing and money and reading all of Warren Buffett's books and all these other investors' books, and I wanted to understand the language of money so I could talk to it better and it would want to hang out with me more. And the pursuit of that is so interesting because from the moment I wanted to be there, as soon as I got to my duty station where we were stationed, Washington, I immediately went to go talk to the local colleges, and they told me, "Oh, hey," or the counselors. They said, "Hey, after your first full year in service, you can start taking classes, and we'll get you set up." And that's exactly what I did. That first year came back. The day after that, I was in the counselor's office, and they were getting me set up at the local Pierce Community College near Joint Base Lewis McChord, where I was training. And I took courses online, but it was still from one of the local community colleges, and I immediately started taking classes. Started doing some higher level mathematics to get out some of the prerequisites for the accounting degree that I knew that I wanted to get. And it's so interesting. So 2014, I start working at it, getting a class a semester. Or I guess I should say it was 2015 at that point then. Started taking a class a semester, and some case two when I could fit it in. And I'm doing this all while serving full time active duty, like many of us do. So I'm doing that, and then I finally get out in 2018. I get out in 2018 with my eyes immediately set on, okay, I know I have the GI Bill. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get my bachelor's degree done. And it's going to be great. I'm going to start making a lot of money. I'm going to go start working for an accounting firm, a tax firm, whatever it may be. I didn't care because I just wanted more money. Well, I've invested 4 years now because I could only go part time as an active duty member. There's just the balance of that. I'm sure there's people that it's possible for them to go more, but for me, it was trying to find some type of balance. But as soon as I got out, I started doing a whole lot more I was working way more than full time, and I was going to school way more than full time because I just had that desire, that hunger for more. And again, it was just purely ambition. I just wanted to feel like I was on top of the world, making as much money as possible. I get out, and for the next 2.5 years, I'm going to school for more than full time, working more than full time, and I end up doing it. I end up doing it, finishing my bachelor's degree super quick in like 2 years, maybe just a little bit less. And uh, I didn't realize the toll that it took on me, what I had sacrificed, the kind of peace I had sacrificed in order to get that, until I eventually just ended up just falling to pieces because of my schedule and the things that I'd put myself through. But all was well. I had finished. I put in resumes for local accounting positions in the Coldwater area to get me home, and loved who I worked for. I had grown up with them. They were played basketball with them at Coldwater Rec, and just great group of guys that I worked with. Taylor Plant Watkins, those guys were awesome. And I got in. I was probably working for them for about 5 6 months, and I realized, man, why am I not happier? I had worked so hard and gotten so far so fast, and I was doing the job that I set out to do. I did exactly what my game plan was. I said, man, I want to get there, and then I want to eventually put myself in a position to where I get my CPA and become a partner, start making some more real money, and just focused on that. And I didn't get there for maybe, like I said, 5 6 months, and it all fell apart. I had no desire to be there. No desire to be there. And they were great to me. They started me off with a good salary. They talked to me about wanting to get my CPA, and so that's exactly the track. I couldn't have asked for more. And I was so unhappy. So unhappy. So I decided to make a lateral movement. And so I was like, okay, maybe I need to be in a different service capacity. I still want to be an accountant, but maybe a different what's the word I'm looking for? A different genre, as if you will, a different purpose to the business. And maybe it's not tax accounting that I want to do. Maybe I want to go work for a nonprofit. So I go over to Hillsdale Senior Center. They need an accountant. I go over there. I ask for an increase in my salary from what I had. They match that, and I'm going there, and I'm doing their accounting for about 2 3 months then, and I go out on a delivery for some of the seniors to help go along to see, because they kind of want to see, hey, since you're behind the scenes, we want you to see what we're doing. And they had me go with the driver to deliver some food. And those people were so thankful and so kind and so considerate, and only thought of others even as they were being served. And there's just such love pouring out of them, even when they were in tougher conditions, that the second I got back, my heart was just so heavy. So I couldn't be behind that desk anymore. I couldn't be an accountant anymore. I had to be with more people. I had to be more engaged. And that was one of the tougher decisions I've ever had to make, because I sacrificed so much. So at this point, we've gotten through all that. Got through COVID 2020. So this is probably the spring of 2021 that I've had a long, illustrious career of 9 months as an accountant, 2 different businesses that all met me at my requested salary and all that. And I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. And it was crazy. So that means 2021, I spent the last 7.5 years becoming this, and I didn't want anything to do with it. Nothing. Not even a little bit. You couldn't have paid me enough to continue doing it. And so I make a different change. Okay, so I have this understanding of business, and I go into business with a friend, and it ends up all blown up in our face. We get a couple good contracts. We start doing some stuff. We're doing some general contracting, working with a lot of floors, doing that, installing floors, carpet, tile, a whole bunch of different stuff. We're going good, and he ends up getting a little stressed, and that business falls apart. Well, now, not only have I no longer pursued that accounting degree, but I went all in a business with a friend, and that whole thing collapsed. So I basically just threw away all the work that I had done in the past eight, 8 to almost 9 years, and I found myself at such a loss, and I was beside myself. I didn't know what to do, and so I took the summer. My wife, bless her heart, had enough grace to where the second I lost everything and I was just befuddled, she immediately went back to work after a hiatus of almost a decade and started waiting tables at Applebee's, and uh, helped give me that slack that I needed to get back on my feet and figure out what direction I was going to go in to serve my family again. And it was interesting. That moment, that time to where all had been lost for me, and I was just full of frustration. Uh, that God started opening up so many doors for me. I didn't even have to labor for it. I showed up and this thing just happened. So I said, okay, I'm gonna serve. I started having a strong desire to be closer to family and closer to people, and so I went to my local school district, my alumni, Quincy. Excuse me, and I go there. I remember having a conversation with my current principal, and I said, hey, I put in a resume in for fourth grade. I got an interview. There was someone who was much more qualified for the position, and rightfully they got it. And I remember the principal asking me, say, hey, if you really want to serve, we have a position for you. You could sub, you could be a para, and this is the pay. And I remember being like, oh man, I know, I have a feeling, this gut feeling, this calling that, hey, I'm supposed to be here. And I don't know, and I had my mind worried about money, but I said yes. I said, no, I need to be here to serve and love people. That's going to be my calling. Well, before school even starts, before I even get my first paycheck, I'm immediately transitioned to a position that would have provided more, that did provide a little bit more resources, a little bit more money. And I didn't have to labor. It's just things shifted. People shifted within the organization. And I immediately was in a position to better my standing with my family. And so, okay, that's great. Well, while I'm there, I get accepted to a program, Teachers of Tomorrow. And I immediately start taking care of that. And doors open. I immediately get sponsored by a program that pays for that program. So no money comes out of pocket. I take my test first time, pass it that spring. So this is all within my first year of working at Quincy. And then I get certified. The following year, the teacher that had taken that position didn't feel like being there anymore. Felt like her a vision for her future led to a different district. I submit my resume. Boom, I get hired. And I go, okay, I'm liking this. I want to continue. I want to further this. I go back to college. I go get my master's degree, finish that within a year. And all these things started to change when I no longer pursued money just for the sake of money, that I pursued things to better myself and better service to others. And it's so crazy how doors just started opening up. I didn't have to labor for this anymore. I didn't even know that I wanted it. But as soon as I pivoted and made that direction in better service to others, that it just started happening for me. And when I tell you that, yeah, I've put in a lot of work, and being a teacher, there's a lot of extra hours, and I've put in a lot of hours with coaches and mentors and doing observations and all this stuff. But the laboring did not seem so bad. Not as bad as it felt when I was pursuing accounting, and when I was pursuing strictly that selfish gain of just monetary gain. And it's so crazy to me. And I found a verse from the Bible that aligns with that. And so I'm going to read that real quick. It's from Philippians, and I think it's Philippians 2, verses 3 through 11. And it has to do with the attitude of Christ, the joy in serving. It says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others. You must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. Though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. Therefore, God elevated him to the place of highest honor and gave him the name above all names, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue declare that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Now, I like that a whole lot, but now I have a whole different kind of struggle. Now I struggle to make sure that my desire in seeking service still isn't selfish. Because sometimes now I know the secret is that, hey, greatness can be found in service. Now I don't want to seek service strictly for greatness sake. I'm not sure if that would create a detriment, but I want to make sure that my intentions aren't unselfishness. I want to serve and love just because that's the right thing to do and it makes me feel so good. But sometimes I find myself, well, I know that I want more for me or my family or for my friends, or maybe I just want more for everybody. And I get focused on, well, I know if I serve, I'll get more. I know if I serve, I'll get more. I know if I serve, I'll get more. I struggle to find that balance still. Am I still being selfish in that pursuit? Am I doing that to my detriment? Am I hindering myself when I pursue in that manner? I'd like to think no, and I'd like to think that there's a balance, that when you're selfish to service, that's still a good thing. And if it's not, it's still something I'm working at. I guess I'll leave you guys with that. Just continue working. Get to the point to where you're struggling with that kind of stuff, and just the ideology of it all. And sometimes I find myself thinking a whole lot about making sure that I'm doing things the right way and for the right reasons. And it's going to have you have little conversations with God, but I think that that's the important stuff. I think that that's what God wants. He wants you at a place to where your struggles, you just take them to Him. And have that conversation, because that's only going to draw you closer. And so I'm going to leave you guys with that. I love you. Jesus loves you. And get out there and serve some people today. Love some people. And see how it turns your day around. Starts to change your whole life around. Have a good day, guys.